Hi, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Church Girls Chronicles. Ew. I trust that everybody had a good week. Uh-huh. I do. We have a lot to talk about. Waiting for Steph to hop on here. I trust everybody. Hey, Lynn. Thank you for joining us tonight. My co-host will be on shortly. Shortly. I hope everybody had a great week. Good evening. How are you? It's so good that you're joining us. Thank you so much. So good to hear from you, sis. I hope that all is well with you and yours. I feel like I'm not sitting in my seat straight. Two and a half, 2 3/4. One. There she is.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, guys. Hey.
Shiny.
You're not shiny. So welcome to Church Girls Chronicles, everyone. Hey, Brother Dante.
Hey, Dante.
My friend Lynn is on. Steph is here.
Hey, guys.
Oh, thank you so much, Lynn. I'm glad that you're doing great. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you so much.
Yes. Hi, Lynn. How you doing? Glad
Why
you joined us.
I hear you, Steph?
Oh, you can't hear me at
I
all?
can hear you, but you sound like you're outside in a cave.
In a hole? Is that better? Oh, is it? It should be better.
Anywho, while she's working on that, once again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming on here tonight and joining us for Church Girls Chronicles, where we always talk for real. We don't take it for granted that you have decided to spend part of your Thursday evening with us. You could be doing a million other things, but you decided to jump on and share your evening with us. I'm a little fidgety because I don't know what's going on with my chair.
Hello.
I was fine until the live started, and now I'm like,
do I sound
anyway.
like I'm in the hole today right now?
Oh, well, Dante says it sounds fine to him, so don't change anything.
Okay.
Leave it like it is.
Mr.
So,
Poole, good to see you.
we don't have, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room.
Whoa, we discussing the aftermath.
So last week we were supposed to have a great debate, but that turned into something different.
It did.
Now today, though, we are talking about the aftermath. I don't even know if that's an appropriate thing to call it. Or what I do know is that my chair is weird, and we have a new president as of January 6th, or whatever that date is going to be next year. And his name, I don't even want to say it. It's like Candyman.
Name that shall not be named. Hey.
Hey, sis. Hey, pal. How you doing?
Hey, Valeria.
I'm Thomas. So we have a new president coming up in
yes,
2025.
We do. Yeah, we do.
And let's talk about it. I want everybody. Hey, sister.
Hi, Sister
I want
Lee.
everybody's comments. I want the comment. I want to know how you feel about I want to know if you know, did you vote? You don't have to tell us who you voted for, but share how you feel now, today. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be about the political platform or views or anything like that. Just share with us some feelings, because I have been melancholy for the past couple days. I didn't watch any of the coverage on Tuesday night on purpose.
Yeah, I didn't
watch
the coverage either. I didn't watch the coverage either. I just said, Lord, thy will be done.
That was my prayer. Yeah, and I'm still numb too, Lynn. Even when I went to vote, that was my prayer. Because that's at the end of all the things, right? He's Lord of all.
He is.
But we live in this world that he created, and it's going to affect us.
Yes.
One way or the other.
But isn't it supposed to?
Right. I'm not saying it's not supposed to. Yeah, so it's it's definitely gonna affect us. My sister Val said her brain is numb. Hey, Denora, how are
Hi,
ya?
cousin. How you doing?
Nice to see
Good
you
to see
on here.
you.
Hey, Sororo.
Hey,
Um,
Sabrina.
so it's just, I think for me, I don't know, Steph, you go first.
Okay, so mm, I just I have so many mixed feelings. I think when we discussed it last week, I was betwixt and between
Not betwixt and between.
because in my mind it still was six in one hand and a half a dozen in another. Not because I am not aware of the depth of what could happen, right? Or I'm not aware of I don't know. I guess I'm aware of what could happen, but my spirit. I don't feel that it will. I just don't have that. I don't know that sense that it will. I think that we, as a people, we really operate. I was saying this the second time I've said this word tonight, but in an imposter syndrome, and we kind of live in our inability to know the depth of our power, and if galvanized, which I did speak of last week, um, is quite impactful. So, um, yeah, it's not like it's not like it used to be when we were dumb and on the farm somewhere and ain't had no options and no choices because we were afraid and didn't understand the lay of the land and didn't have any clarity about who we were or what was happening, and were, for all intents and purposes, subjugated. Um, that's not the people that we are today. And I don't think that that's the people that's this generation underneath us will ever choose to be. So I feel I'm confident that it may not come out like we want it to be coming out, but I'm confident that there is something's going on in our live. Did it go black for
Like
you?
what?
It's saying we're having trouble loading this live video.
Why would it be loading it? I don't understand. Sorrel, are we okay? Check
Oh,
in
no,
with
no,
our
no. Maybe
moderator.
it's just maybe it was just my
I
internet.
think
Um,
so. Because you're trying to look
but
at it on a different
yeah.
device.
Um, but I don't. Because that's the only way I can see other people's comments. I can't see them on my phone. They don't scroll. They don't come in. I can't even see when people come in. I don't know why that is, but I can't. So I don't. So my minds and my thoughts kind of went there. For me, it was the anxiety over that. I think we're in a different place as a people, and I feel like, um, I don't know. I just don't feel that they talk big.
You don't feel what?
I think that there's a lot of talk happening, but they're gonna shut up soon because they're gonna do like the guy in Philly said. What the Philadelphia man say?
I
Mess
hear what
around
you're.
and find out.
Yeah, from around the fine. So did the there was a newscaster who said something similar. She was like, American people have chosen to f around and find out.
Yes, he was funny.
But I hear what you're saying, and I think and if I'm wrong in understanding what you're saying that you don't, you have a lot of faith in us as a people to not pick up what they're putting down.
Yeah.
And I get that. I feel that way too because I've always said I don't think I would have survived slavery
Yeah,
because
we're not the blacks of the 70s, okay?
nah.
We're not the
But you
blacks
know
of the
what?
70s.
Not for nothing. The blacks of the '60s and the '70s, their ability to unify and to galvanize and to be all on the same page
They were the bomb.
was unprecedented.
The bomb, and
And
what they did was necessary, and the bomb, and the
right,
level of
so
representation was necessary at the time.
right. So let's not say. I mean, I think it's different now because we're not going to necessarily be nonviolent about it. We're not
Right.
going to do no
That's what I'm
sit-ins and
talking
all
about. We're not the
that.
blacks of the 60s and 70s. All this
We may
nonviolent
not
stuff.
take the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's whole philosophy and be peaceful. Well, I don't say we won't be peaceful, but I'm saying we're not going to take it lying down. You ain't going to stick no dogs on us and no water hoses, and we just stand there and get drowned. Nah, that ain't happening. I agree. And I agree that we are different. You know, we're not here for it. We're not here for the foolishness. And honestly, I
Yeah.
don't think black people ever really were. I think we got a little settled. I think we got a little comfortable at one point when Obama was president, and, and maybe when Bill Clinton was president. We might have been like, oh yeah. But I think in general, black people have never really been like, you can just do whatever you want to do to us, and we're going to be okay with it.
Yeah, when I said it was no disrespect to the black people of the 60s and 50s, 60s, 70s, those who pioneered for us and did all the things that they did for us to be the people that we are today. I'm talking more on when it comes down to ideology.
Mm.
That ideology of peaceful, you know, stuff. And I think that there's it still works and that it's being used. We use it in multiple opportunities when things went down. But
Mm.
we're talking about global, we're talking about um, out and out blatant um, acts of racism and all the things, right? I don't see where that's going to be met with a kumbaya.
It won't be. It never was. I mean, it
It's just
was
not.
kind of met with a kumbaya
It was
before. You know, let's
definitely
lock
met with a
arms and just think
kumbaya.
about it. Let's walk across the bridge. But they was doing that in droves. They were doing that with hundreds of thousands of people.
Right.
I think today it won't be met with a kumbaya, but I think that the amount of people who might be involved is going to be. It's not going to be that hundreds of thousands of people like it was back in Selma when they walked over the bridge. They had hundreds of people with them kumayaing. You know what I mean? When they went and they had hundreds and thousands of people with them at the at the Washington Monument when they had that when he did that big speech about the mountaintop, hundreds of thousands of people. I think the numbers may be smaller, but the impact will be stronger
Great. And I believe that there will
because we're
be
not
kumbaya
kumbaya.
moment, right? And I
We're
believe
not.
there'll be peaceful protests, and I believe that there will be things that will happen, and there will be a springing up um of community and unity and a voice, a one voice kind of a thing happening. I believe that that can definitely and
Hmm.
will definitely happen. But I know that you know we're gonna match energies,
Oh, for
which
sure.
is not as the energies will be quicker to be matched
Oh, for sure.
than
Then we'll, yeah, yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
past
yeah.
times. I don't know. Talk to us, y'all. Y'all listen to us talk about it, but come on, chime on in because. And I'm not saying that to excuse away what is happening. Like I said, for me, I'm still very much down the middle of it all, with six in one hand and half a dozen in another, for multiple reasons. As a believer, I feel like in many instances, um, the world we were going towards would have been me being unable to be free as a Christian. The world, and I feel like choosing on the other side meant me being unable to be free as a black female.
So you free? So you feel as though choosing on the other side will give you Christian freedom?
I feel if some of the things that they're fighting for, right, even if I don't agree, um, the principle of certain things leave room for there to be Christian freedom. I see Christian freedom being taken every single day, though, as we move to a more liberal way of thinking. That my Christian freedoms have been removed. I think it's a little bit more tolerable to people because the fact that we've not been able to pray in school has been for a long time. It was long before these recent arguments. The fact that we can't talk about Jesus and we can't do all those other
Mhm.
things have long been before these particular arguments. I feel
Correct.
it's more the idea that we don't have but we're not allowed to use our voice at all, not even in our churches, the way that we would like, especially now that we're broadcasting and going across
Yeah,
social
I was
media
gonna say.
airwaves.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's more because of a social media insert than anything.
I mean, even with social media, I mean, it's not like it's new to us. People been televised on TV for a long time and said just what they want.
And being
The
canceled
pulpit,
too. Yep.
not not out of the pulpit and in the church.
Well, no, I
These
mean
things have been being
not
right, right.
not like now, no, because back then too, everybody was kind of saying the same thing. But and I hear what you're saying, because Christian freedoms, you feel like it'll be a little bit. I honestly don't believe that it will be. I don't, and I think it's because across the board, I think they use it as a platform to, because let's be honest, he's not a Christian. He
I'm not even talking
couldn't
about
tell you
him
anything, right? But so
or
I
the
think
hard line things that they're talking
I
about.
think
I'm
they
talking about
used his right. I think they used some of um, the platforms that he was running on as a way to garner Christian support, um, or support of people who say that they are Christians. Do I think that those things are going to, or the legislation that those that may come about will open up a door and give Christians more freedom than they currently have? I don't. I don't, because I don't think that that's their agenda. Their agenda was never to not satisfy. Their agenda was never to include that, right? It wasn't to necessarily include that in the abortion platform or in the platform about homosexuality, or it wasn't that wasn't a part of the
but
platform. I
but
think
it is when you start
Christians
talking about education.
supported it because
When you're talking about education, it is a part of that platform, right? That is the conversation when we're talking about family, maintaining a biblical standard of what that looks like, pushing against things that push against that. I'm talking about the ability to be able to do that freely
yeah,
and
that's
have that option
I
and
know.
be able to have that conversation. That it's more viable and capable of happening under this particular leadership than it would have been under the other leadership, because
I
of
hear
that
you.
liberal mindset has
Hmm.
definitely squashed.
And
You can't say
I
what were
guess
you
that's
saying?
because, though, I think the whole idea of having a choice is still something that we don't have the right to take away. We don't have the Christian or non-Christian. We don't have the right to say that someone else does not have the right to make a choice for themselves. Now, do I think that that means that because I also don't believe that, I don't, I, you can be homosexual all you want. It's just not what I think God wants us to do. Do I think I should be beat over the head for saying that? Absolutely not. Do I think that that part of it is going to change because we're working on some of those other laws or some legislation or Supreme Court rulings about those things? I don't. I don't think people are going to become more more forgiving, let's just say, of Christians, um, because none of that was ever really legislated, right?
None of that.
Besides, I mean, not
Talking about
besides,
for
I mean,
fear of
they
losing
took
my
church,
job,
they
for
took
fear of
prayer out of the schools. That was a Supreme Court ruling. All of those things, yes. But as it stands, like, because we were talking the other day about how Christians can't say nothing. You can't say nothing without somebody coming for you and canceling you, and oh my God, this group of people coming against you, and like, we have no say, so we can't even talk about our religious beliefs at work,
But
right,
the
without
blindness to
fear
it, though,
of
was
being.
this, though, Shayna. It is being legislated. These things were being
Yes,
legislated underneath the liberal world. They were being legislated for us not to have those freedoms,
right. I
to
said,
be
yeah,
able to talk
that's what I
about our.
said. there,
It
there
was
were
being
some Supreme
legislated for us
Court
to
rulings.
not be able to keep ourselves separate. It was
Yeah.
being legislated for us not to be in order. The lobbyists are doing these things, right? So there are people lobbying to change the whole idea of gender. There are people
Mm-hmm.
lobbying to change the fact that if I'm a church and my church is a church that doesn't believe in same-sex marriage, I don't have to, under the way that things are now, I don't have to marry them. But there are
Right.
people lobbying to change
Right,
that.
right,
That is
right. There
happening, and
are
under
people.
a liberal situation, these things were happening. These laws have been passed in places like Kentucky, in places like in other spots in the Midwest. These things have been passed. These are things that
Yes,
are actually happening in our laws on the
correct.
books that are
And I'm
taking these freedoms. We're taking these freedoms away,
and I'm
and because we're not talking about them in that context, it doesn't mean that it's not happening.
and I'm saying I don't think that that's going to change. I don't think those are going to be the things that they come for and overturn. I don't. I do not think that those are going to be the things that they say. You know what? Let's stop lobbying against the Christian
I don't
church.
think that
I
they're
don't.
going to
I don't
stop
think they're going to
lobbying, but they
come. I
won't
don't
have.
think they're going to over. That's not their agenda.
But
Is to
they haven't
come.
stopped. They can't stop them from lobbying.
No, no, no,
But
no, no. I'm saying
but
whatever has been. I'm not talking about the lobbying. I'm talking about whatever. Supreme Court rulings or other legislation that may have been put into place to stop some of that stuff, because some of it has gone beyond lobbying and they have passed a few, like they, I mean, let's just start with the oldest one in the book, which was when they took prayer out of schools. You know, I don't think they're gonna come for that. I don't think they're gonna be like, you know what, we need to start praying in school more often, because let's face it, they're gonna dismantle the whole board of education anyway. So why do we need to put prayer back into a
And for
school that
them,
doesn't really
that's
exist?
so that's the premise,
So
right? For them, that's the premise that they're basing it upon. Though the reason why we're dismantling it is because it has become this it's so heretical and so tainted and so inundated by conservative thinking. We don't what it's not a viable place to maintain these particular views, which is true, right? On
it's
every
not,
hand,
which
it's
is
very
true.
true.
That's not what they're coming for. Critical race theory. They're coming for, you know, what we're actually teaching in schools. They're coming for a lot of other things. They're not coming for that other part of
Um,
the
I
legislation.
agree. I agree. It's not just one thing, right? When we the whole woke agenda didn't just but it wasn't just talking about black people though. It was talking about all this wokeness, right? It encompasses all the wokeness, critical race theories underneath that wokeness, right? All kinds of things are being coupled into this wokeness that they're talking about. It's not just black people, and so I think. Do I have a concern about that to a degree? But I'm also the same person that has believed for a long, long time, and people are going to probably get real mad at me about this, but I've always believed our greatest mistake was integration.
No, I
So,
don't disagree with that.
so
I
I
mean,
feel like
I think us
I ain't mad.
integrating,
Shut it
I
down.
think us
Don't
being
teach
separate,
critical
and
race
I'm
theory.
not talking about necessarily the black agenda or the African American agenda. I'm talking about the fact that I don't, I really don't believe they're going to make Christians whole.
I'm
And
not talking about what I'm saying to you is conceptually. They
right,
come in and they shut it on down. They dismantle it. The premise that they dismantle it under frees me as a master degree person in education or principal or whatever to start my own school with people that look like me to teach them what I want them to know. And if it's critical race theory, I can teach them.
no, you can't.
Yeah, you can.
That's the thing.
In my private
You
school, I
can.
can. Yes, I can.
You can.
Yes, I
But they
can.
will. They a lot. It will be very. You can, but there will be a lot of. There will be a lot of things you can't do if you do.
But the reality is, you can't create. This is the wonderful, beautiful thing about the law, right? If you create it for your own closed-minded group, you can't
You.
then take that and use it against somebody else
But
who has
that's
the same
exactly what they're
capability.
doing.
You can't though. It's illegal. We can fight. That's fightable in the court of law. You can't create a law. It's only but it's only works for white people. That's not that don't even make sense. Not even that don't even make sense.
I mean, it don't make sense, but that's what they do. Because along with them, with the whole Department of Education, the little bit about that part that I did read, it's so many other things that are going to complicate the situation and make it so much harder for teachers and all of those things. That, and then if you do choose, if we let's say we go and we open our own schools, and every city in this in the United States has its own black school, and we finally get back kind of get back to where we were trying to go before they burned all of our cities and things down. At the end of the day, if we choose to do those things, we are going to truly be isolating ourselves, I think, in some way, which is not altogether bad. It's one thing to be segregated, it's a totally different thing to be isolated and cut off from whatever government assistance we could have and things like that. If that is what we are choosing to teach in our schools, we are going to definitely have to be self-funded all the way across the board. We're
But
going to
Jewish
have to
people
be
have been doing it for
self-sufficient.
hundreds
I
of
mean, and
years
I
over
get
here
what
in
you're
America.
saying. I'm not
Right?
saying that.
Right?
I'm not
Jewish
saying it's
people
not
have been doing
possible
it for
because
hundreds of
we've done
years.
it. I'm not saying that it's not possible because we've done it. I'm saying that along with it comes a whole other fight, right? Comes a whole other thing that we have to fight now, instead of, because then too we are going to have to be fighting them off of our borders and off of our because they will be trying to burn us down. They will be trying to shut us down at every chance they can get, because they don't want to see black people or any minority for that matter thrive and do great and be wonderful in this country. They don't want that because they burned us down the first time. So they're going to be coming for us at every moment we get. Do I think we could do it? Yeah, because we've done it before.
And I don't, and I think, you know what, and I would agree with you to a certain, if I felt like people who are capitalistic and narcissistic are that concerned about anybody else, no, go ahead and do that over there. I don't think that I think for us, it's the fear of having the responsibility to do it and
Right.
being able to trust that we're capable of doing it
Well, I
without their
saw
assistance because we've been getting their assistance for so long, right? So
I saw an interview today. I think I sent it to you also on Instagram. It was about a white nationalist guy. He sat down and had dinner with this Asian dude, and he basically said that the reason why he feels like he should vote for Trump and all of the things that he stands for is because it's going to preserve his whiteness. They want to do something that is going to preserve. They know that they are becoming the minority in this country. They are the minority in this country. If you between black people and Latinos, they are the minority in this country, and they know that, and they don't want that to be taken away from them. So he blatantly out now. I'm gonna try to find it while I'm talking to you. He blatantly out now said that the reason why he doesn't, because he wants, they want to conserve their position in this country, as in this country being predominantly white. Some of the words, some of the phrases that he uses, the country that our forefathers built. And of course, the Asian guy, he did correct him. He was like, he didn't build much, didn't build anything. Let's just be clear. He was like, oh, that's not true. In fact, because they really do, they're afraid that they're losing their grip on this country. And in doing that, they said, okay, let's hire one of the most, crazy sounding people we can hire. That was the clip. And then, because he's going to help us preserve our whiteness. He said, well, why do you want to do this? Because is it so bad that I want to preserve my race and make sure that we're in charge? And
well,
that's how a
that's
lot
the
of them
mind.
feel.
That
He
is the
said
mind of the
it would slow
colonizer.
the dispossession. That's the word he used. He
Yeah,
said
I think that's the mind.
he said that he voted for Trump because it would slow the dispossession of
I agree.
whiteness in this country.
Val, they should have left us in Africa, but we're
They
not. We're
definitely should
here.
have left us, but we're here
We're
now.
here, Val. And you know what's crazy? We're here, and we have an economic base in this country that could change the country if it's withdrawn.
Mhm.
We have an economic base in this country, and we have a stake in this country at this point. That if we shut down and disconnect and pull ourselves from places and things, they gonna feel it. And
I
it's
mean,
okay if you want to go over there and do that over there.
they
That's
will
fine.
economically. Do I think 4 years is enough time to get it done? No, I don't.
Oh
But
heck
do I
no.
think? But do I think him being in office for 4 years is enough time for him to slow down the dispossession of America by everybody else? Absolutely. I think he can definitely slow it down. And those are the words that this guy used. He said he wants to. They want to slow down the dispossession. In other words, you know what that means.
Okay.
I mean, you people are intelligent folks.
Right, but you said he only has 4 years, and my thing is, you could only do but so much damage, and
He
in
can.
that time, he could only
But
do but so
that
much damage in
doggone
that time.
Congress and Senate, Lord
Right,
God.
but it may be the jolt that the world needs, right, for us to get it together and be able to really start talking about things that are going to change things around us, so that we can be able to live peaceably. Because I'm not. My thing is this: I have no idea. I have no desire for people's freedoms to be taken. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying, however, is recognize my difference in every way and give me the right in every area of difference that I possess to be able
Mhm.
to make
But
choices.
they won't do that. That's the problem. All your choices are gonna be gone. They're gonna be gone. If they have their way, those choices, they want to take those choices away as much as they possibly can. And I'm like, yeah, see me, see all of me. Don't be colorblind. Let's not, we are who we are. But at the end of the day, they don't plan on giving us any, like, making it easy and be like, oh yeah, just go ahead and be black and Christian, and no. They don't want us to they don't want us to take over. They don't want us to be in charge. They don't want us to be in charge of ourselves. They don't want us to be in charge of this country. They don't want us to be in charge of anything.
I guess I
So
hear you. I hear you, but something in me just has you can't control people. Money talks on its own. It has its own world.
oh,
People in it, and it's
for
a lot of
sure.
black folks with coin in this world. You're not going to. When we were in a position where we had nothing and we were subjugated based on that reality, um, I could see it.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm
It's
just saying that I
just
don't
way too
think
many black
they're
people with money in this world, in this
I'm
country,
not
and
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying that I don't think that whatever they have planned is going to make is making it easy. I don't think it's opening up a door that's going to make that that our attempts or our efforts to segregate, for the lack of a better term, 'cause that's what it's going to be, easy. It's not. It's not going to make our attempts to just be wholly Christian and stand on the word of God in its entirety easy. It's not. It's not going to be like, oh yes, just going. It's not going to be like that. I mean, I sent you the text messages that they're starting to send out already, and it's not just. It's not. I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to be something that comes down from the presidency or from his office and says, oh, you guys get to treat black people and brown people this way. No, but I think white people are going to take advantage of the fact that they feel like having someone like him in office gives them carte blanche to treat us any type of way.
I, I don't know. I guess for me, I'm just thinking to myself, like, they've been doing that. They just were doing it undercover. I'm not confused. Like, it doesn't, in
They
my mind,
they
it,
haven't been
it
doing
doesn't
it.
change my experience in the world. My experience in the world is
Mm-mm.
still very much like a black woman that's completely and totally and utterly misunderstood and confronted by privilege every day,
Oh, for
all the
sure.
time, in
All
some
the
way,
time.
shape, or form. So I might get called a nigger way more often. I might, can I say that on
You
Instagram?
did. It's all right. It's said.
I might get called that more often. I might get a slur here or there. You may look at me a little saltier in the grocery store, but guess what, boo? I'm still gonna be paying for my groceries right next to you, doing just what I'm doing, and you can't do nothing about it. All you can do is be mad.
But there are some things in place that if the president says, okay, go ahead and slit her throat, neither the president nor that person will go to jail. It's because the president said so, because it happened under the office or the auspices of the presidency. So now he can send a whole police force out to a neighborhood, and they can do whatever he tells them to do. They'll go home to their families. He'll go back to the Oval Office, and everything be just like water under the bridge. You
I
know,
guess and
I mean, and I hear what you're
every
saying. It
president has
doesn't
the ability to
necessarily.
blow somebody up, but it don't never happen. So I
I
just
mean,
feel
it may
like
not. It may not. It
I
may not
don't
have
know.
happened yet. It may not have happened yet. But with those types of things in place, and with that level of autonomy in place, and they know they can get away with it now without no hey Jen, without being suspended and under what is it called when they be checking them out, administrative leaves and all of that. It's a whole, thing. Now, how many brown millionaires and billionaires are going to step up to help make things happen, to do what we need to do? As Al Sharpton stated, many successful blacks have selective amnesia. They
Oh,
do. You right.
I agree, but I agree. I think I don't know. I don't know.
I'm
I
here
just
for
feel like
the
there's always
hopefulness of
rams and
all. I
bushes. There's
feel you,
always ways.
and
I
I
just
have a
don't
lot
have
of
that
hope.
anxiety about that. I don't, and I live in
I
the
don't have
South.
anxiety. I don't have anxiety about it as much as it is the fact that I just don't. I know. I mean, I've with less legislation and less laws, and without a president like that without a person like that running the country, I've seen them do a lot of crazy stuff and get away with it. And now with that, and I mean personally, in my own personal life, I'm not just talking about on a national stage, because we've all seen that and have witnessed it and
In my
have
personal
all
life
been,
too.
yeah.
And
So
Democrats was in
I mean,
office when they did it.
I think it's
Democrats was in office, and you know what I mean. It was
right,
people.
but my point is that now that not only is it not a Democrat in office, because even when Republicans were in office, I mean, even when the George W's and the Bushes were in office, it wasn't like the tenor and the temperature of racism wasn't like it is now. It wasn't like it is now. And there are some things that have been put in place that give him and whoever he decides to put on his little team autonomy against certain things that they didn't have autonomy against before. I mean, for before. So, I mean, the hopefulness of it, I'm here for it. I mean, if they want to take my little, self and make me part of it, we want to be a part of the whole. I'm here for it. I'd rather buy all black, live all black, teach all black, learn all black, be all black, because I am all black all the time. I would prefer that because it feels to me like it's just I'm getting something that people know who I am and can kind of relate. Um, I just know it's gonna be a fight. I think all the things that we feel like are bad are gonna feel worse because they're gonna, the outliers are gonna make it feel worse. Um, but I'm hopeful. I hope that we can break away from it and find our footing and come together as a community of African American people, because
we have a
we
unique
have a solely
cultural
unique
inheritance.
experience here in the United States that no other Black person in any part of the world has, right? Any person that's Black, who has Black skin, whether you're African or whether you live over in the UK or wherever, you don't have the same experience as we do.
No, they don't,
They
and it's
don't.
different.
They have totally different experience growing up, being Black. Or is there racism everywhere? Absolutely. Let's be clear. There's racism everywhere. Um, but their experience is just different. It just is. It's just a cultural difference in experiences. Um, so I don't know. But hey, Val, extreme hatred and racism has made this new Republican move. Yes.
And I
Hey,
agree.
Jen has
I'm not
joined us.
saying any of that is not true. Um, I guess for me, it's just I don't know that I feel like it's going to be a whole lot different than what I've experienced most of my lifetime, and I
Well,
don't know that I think it'll be different for the generations underneath us because they've had this really, strange idea that it's kumbaya. Um,
I think
but
it's going to be different for them though too, because I
them white
think it's
boys
going to
beat the
be
heck
some
out of me on the
undoing.
bus
Yeah,
in the sixth grade,
I
and they didn't
and
even
I
get in trouble, and they
right.
beat my face almost in and bloodied up my rabbit coat,
I remember
and
that.
got away
We,
with doing
we
that.
fought hard that day.
And so
We did.
so
The
when I'm
Brownie girls
thinking
fought
about it,
hard that day.
right, maybe it's my trauma that makes me like, oh
I mean,
well, like
because I mean, I have trauma
nuts.
too, but I think too. You said something about how it's. I think the generations after us are going to have a lot to undo,
A lot of right, and a harder
and they're
time.
going to have a harder time because it's just whatever they do, it's just going to make it so much more difficult for them.
Yeah, it's going to be very confronting for them in the
And just
world, and
very
they're going to,
confronting and difficult.
yeah.
I mean, they think they got it hard now, and I feel bad because
I
the
feel
work
bad for
the
them.
work
I do.
the work ethic of that generation is totally different. The let me go out and go after stuff, like they don't have that
Mhm.
same.
And they will not have that same footing that
Exactly. And if
they're used to to having some semblance of forced equality in certain regards, right? Or
mm,
because the conversation has been had, right? So we know that you got to be 10 times better. Those things have been said to me, to them 1,000 times,
mm-hmm,
while not having to be that and still being able to do
mm-hmm,
and go. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be very much a culture shock,
yeah,
I think, for that generation. And maybe that's why I'm not feeling so overtaken, because it really is, to me, I'm like, I've been here and
yeah,
I've
yeah,
done that. And so I
yeah. And
don't,
like I said, I think we will feel it a little bit.
I mean, we will feel
Um,
it because we've gotten used to some things, definitely. But maybe that's why I feel the way I feel. It's definitely not because I agree with where we are. It's definitely not because I think in some way we're better off. It's not that. I think it largely could just be because I've had, like, these are experiences that I've been through and I've seen and I've heard, and it, they were happening before. Like, so
yeah, I
for me,
mean, like I
I'm
said, I think
never not worried about my sons going outside and walking outside after dark. I've never not worried about that.
I'm not. I've never not been worried about that
Right.
either. I
So I'm
think
saying,
what
for
I think what
me, they gonna
adds
change my level of worry.
I think what
Like, I'm still gonna
adds
be
I
worried.
I think what adds to the worry for me is now if anything were to happen, there's no recourse.
And Shannon, when has there ever been? I think we started to see recourse in the last
I
five
mean, I
years.
hear you. I hear you. I hear you in that nothing has ever really happened stuff has started happening
In
maybe
the
a
last
little bit,
since
a little
2020,
bit more. But
since George Floyd,
right, that's what I was. That's
24
what I was
years
about to.
ago.
Well, okay, if you let me finish my statement, I'm
Okay.
just getting it. But yeah, I think since George Floyd, some things have been like, oh, okay, we can't keep doing this to them. We can't keep doing this to them. We can't keep doing this to them. And the other little boy that Aubrey that did the jogging.
Mm-hmm.
What was his name? I can't, but y'all know what I'm talking
I
about.
know you're talking about.
And
And the
the
many
boy with the hoodie,
countless other
and the
names.
many countless. I mean,
People's
we've all
houses
seen
shot up.
the
Federal government came
list.
in. Ain't no federal government people go to jail for them shooting up that woman,
No, 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 no.
Breonna
Not
Taylor, and
federal
her.
government. No,
I
not
mean,
federal government.
the state, the whoever the state boys that went in there and shot her house all up, Breonna Taylor.
They
Instead, we
still
trying to dig up things about why she could have been guilty.
right, right. But here's the thing, though. Now, here's the thing. Now they'll just do it blatantly on the street, anywhere, and walk away, and not have to worry about court, not have to worry about being arrested, not have to worry about any of that. None of that is going to happen to them, especially if it's under the auspices of the president said I could do it. So that's the thing. I mean, no, there was no justice. It's not, especially not any satisfactory justice for any of them. Any of them. Because let's just be clear, there's none of them should have died. Right? So there hasn't been any justice for any of them. But now I feel like the hearts of the people who really want to be that way and really want to do that, they're going to be emboldened by the fact that I can do it now. I can. I can, and I will walk away and go back home and like nothing has ever happened. And I think that's the part that little, no, it's not a little caveat, that extra piece of it that is going to heighten the crazy.
And I believe that. I believe the crazy will be heightened. I think what's even sadder, and I see happening um, more in my thoughts about that, is there'll be civil unrest. I think if they come with the smoke, especially in the spaces and areas that they want to come with the smoke, I think the generation that we're dealing with now, they don't have a good sense in them
They
spaces
don't,
what God gave
but
them.
they'll be the
And,
ones that die or go to
and that may be
jail.
the case,
And the
which is
people
what for
there, but the
them,
people that they're fighting won't.
I I hear you. They won't go to jail, Shayna, and I get that, and I understand that. Um,
We have
but
no
that's also
we
not
have no
different than what's
fight
been
back.
happening,
We
right?
have no recourse now.
But
You know what I mean?
even with the recourses, though, Shane, that still was happening.
I mean,
All I'm
I
saying,
hear you, but
kids
at
in them
least
same
then
spaces is
I
going
could
to
go
jail
to
and
court.
dying.
I could at least go to court and at least plead my case. At least, get it out there and talk about it.
Right,
Now it's just gonna be like, oh, well, whatever.
right. I mean, I hear you,
That is
and I
taken
agree,
away.
and I agree. I'm not, because I'm not advocating or saying that that's not possible and what may or may not happen. I guess where my heart lies and what Val says is really, really true. That this is not a political issue; it's a kingdom issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad someone brought that up. So because for me, it's another place that I also park myself as far as peace is concerned. I really do believe that God Himself is going to begin to show Himself strong in spaces
I hope, yeah.
that where we would be afraid or expected to be a certain way, that God is going to begin to show up and show Himself strong in those
Mm-hmm.
spaces. And I think for me, it's the faith part for me to hold on to that and just be covering my children in prayer and believing that God, would keep us. I remember saying, I think I was on the phone with you, and I said, um, while in Babylon, He kept those that were captive.
Mm-hmm.
He kept them, and they were able to serve their God, practice their traditions, and be the people that God had called them to be while in captivity. And
Mm-hmm.
and they found their song in a strange land. And
Yes.
um, I think that, amen. And this is our season, sis. And I think even with that though, and I think about it from a different perspective. So when I'm talking about this stuff, like I said, I'm not out here advocating for any of the stuff that potentially could happen or for the rhetoric or for the
Mm-hmm.
craziness or for anything that Donald Trump has said. I'm not out here advocating for any of that. But as a believer, as somebody who trusts God and has really, even in the last couple of weeks, come to connect with his voice in a deeper way, that's what I hear him saying, that this is our Babylon season. And Babylon came to grow them. When Jeremiah said, because that's the scripture everybody quotes all the time,
Mm-hmm.
that and it's beautiful, Jeremiah 29:11,
Yeah.
that you that I know the plans that I have for you. These plans and these my thoughts toward you are good, and they're going to bring you to an expected end. But that declaration came after he told Jeremiah, tell the people
Mm-hmm.
that what they want, they're
They're
not
not
going
gonna
to get it.
get it. Yep.
They're not going to
Yep.
get
And then
it.
he told them how to live in Babylon,
Right. And he
what to
said,
do.
what they want, they're not going to get it. I'm not going to give them what they want. I'm not even going to give them what the prophets. And I thought about this whole election thing. And I mean, I heard 2 or 3 prophetic people say that Kamala was going to win. I mean, I'm talking about prophets who are like, honey, people paying them a whole lot of money to come to their churches and call out their names and their cars and their addresses and their social security numbers and all kinds of stuff. And talking some Kamala going to win. And it was interesting to me because I'm like, oh my God, this couldn't be more like that time, because that's exactly what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah and said, no, they're going to be there for 70 years. And I know that's not what they expected. But I know my plan concerning them. And there was that time was given for them for the sake of maturing
Mm-hmm.
and changing and doing what had to be done as a people, um, to change up their mind and to grow them and to mature them. And I think so when I think about us as people, even when I'm saying things that seem quite um seasony concerning like us and being segregated or like coming back to that space, I'm not saying that because I'm a separatist and I believe that we are better or
Mm-hmm.
that I'm racist or I don't. I believe that God came for all of us and he's a
Yes.
unity. He's a God of unification. However, I believe that there is a responsibility and there's some things that we have to learn as a people. And if pulling us together and allowing us to go through this experience together will allow us to do that, then I'm all for that, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that for me, um, because I saw how that came out. And he brought them out, right? He brought them
Mm-hmm.
out, and he brought them out better than they were before. And so I think when I'm thinking about it, that's the perspective that I have when I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely not me saying, "Oh, I'm just Donald Trump is the best," or no, or being naive enough to believe that some horrible things are not capable of happening. They are, and I believe that. I have to also believe that Jesus
Yeah.
reigns,
Well,
and
I
God
mean,
knows He knows the plans for us.
right. And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, they're not going to not be who they are. They're not going to not do the things they want to do. But um, we have to believe that Jesus reigns and that he's going to take care of us. Right. I guess I was talking to you because you're probably the only one I talked to about Babylon and how they were given instructions on how to um, not cause an uprising and take them down from the inside and all the things, which they kind of could have done because Daniel and his boys, they was in there working and they could have
Mhm.
gotten the insider track and brought them all down from the inside. But the way that he taught them how to live that way in that time in Babylon is what I'm looking forward to, is us coming together not just as a people but as believers and
Mhm.
saying, listen, we can let's figure this out. Let's figure
Mhm.
out how we can live in this time and still prosper and still benefit and build some things for ourselves and learn some things maybe we didn't know and get our obedience to God under control, because that's a little eh.
Meh.
That's a little sus. But uh I I just know that I personally am not looking forward to the. I can't like that. I don't have anxiety about it as much as I just don't feel like it. Like I just don't feel like dealing with
I
the
hear you.
crap that is
And Val
going to
said
be
something real
coming.
good right there.
She says, God, what is it? The God allows what he ordains to bring us back to him. Yes, COVID didn't do it, so here we are now. The just will be negatively impacted just as the unjust. Yeah, the just
He rains
will
on
be
us.
negatively. Yeah, he rains on everybody. He sure
We're
does.
gonna
Is
have
anybody
this.
we didn't
Yeah.
say hi to? Jen
Hey
is in
guys.
here. Yes, everyday life will be a little different, Jen. And Lynn, you were saying that we're right. Something happened in North Carolina. Someone fired shots on a
On the
highway that
highway,
she
she goes to
travels
work.
to work, and 7 cars were hit. Wow, that's crazy. And to
Look,
see,
I
that's
ain't
the kind of
looking
stuff
for. Look, I gotta drive
the
down.
drought
I
is
gotta be on a
testing.
train. I gotta go to North Carolina tomorrow. I ain't looking for
The test,
it.
the test is how many will be steadfast like Daniel and his boys were. Yeah, well, it was just Daniel and his boys, and that was enough, right?
And the
So
other thing to
that's
that,
our family.
right, right. But that the other part to that story is Nebuchadnezzar. He changed the heart of the
Yes, he
king. That's
did.
he changed the heart of the
Mm-hmm.
king. And so, wouldn't that be a testament of God's power if that same
That would
Donald
be
Trump came out one day?
fabulous.
What?
Could you
Imagine that,
imagine?
right? Imagine that. Right? The
You know
Lord
what
changing
somebody's
his heart
altar
and he
for
coming
real
out
going?
speaking in
Jesus,
tongues across the
Jesus, Jesus,
pulpit,
Jesus,
across the podium. I came
Jesus,
out to
Jesus.
tell you, Ish Katarabai,
His toupee will be flapping in the oil. It'd be all slicked
The
down
Lord is in his
because they
holy
would have poured
temple.
on
Let
that
all the
oil on his head.
earth. Wouldn't that be something? Okay.
His tan would start to
Listen, he
start
stopped
to
being orange and he came out.
in the olive oil,
Start
just smearing it
to
down.
smear on down the skin, honey. Listen. It can happen. It can happen.
Come here, Donald, and come on with us to church. Let's
Okay,
go.
it can happen. You know what I mean? And that's crazy, right? That we're talking about, we laughing about it, but it could happen, right? And it's insane,
Listen,
but it
and
can happen because
the
why are we
reason
not? We're
why,
serving that same God. That he's still throwing writing up on walls. He's still visiting being visiting people in their dreams.
and the
He's still able
reason
and capable of doing all of those things. And it's
if
so interesting how we limit him to our situation,
well,
our circumstance, and his reality.
and that's the thing. I would love for it to be that to be the case, and I don't think it's limiting God as much as it is. I just don't think Donald Trump is here for it. Because it's a choice that Donald's going to have to make. I don't think Donnie is going to be like, yes, let's go to church. I don't think
Listen. Let me tell you something.
because I
I
believe God
thought
can do
that about
anything.
a couple of
He
people.
can turn the hearts
When the
of
Lord
people.
get finished whooping tail, though, every
Well,
knee,
see,
the
because
Bible
not
said,
for nothing, and
shall
I've
bow.
heard this. I've heard this quite a few times too from quite a few different people. How black folks in America, I believe that God has a special blessing for us. Now, I ain't nothing biblical about it. I said that the Lord said nothing, ain't no prophecy in it at all. But I believe in my heart that God really does have a heart for
The
African American
American
people
Africans. Yes.
because we was put through some stuff. Um, and that's just me personally. That's just me. Hey T, that's just me.
Yeah.
Believing that the Lord is looking out for us in a way that He kind of looked out for the children of Israel because we are the children of Israel. That's a whole other program,
Another
though. We'll talk about
conversation
that later.
for another day. But contextually, right? So, um,
Val is so deep. I love her so
the
much.
change heart will be with Trump supporters, which will
Which
weaken
will
his
weaken
power.
his power.
And you know what, sis? I hear that, but I'm believing God for his changed heart too. Heck, if he could do it for Nebuchadnezzar, he turned him crazy. Like he had it out there uh, grazing in the grass with the sheep.
Yeah.
Before it's all said and done, he made a fool of him before he turned his heart around. And so you never know how God comes out on top on these matters.
Yeah.
And
He gonna
so
be fighting
I
us.
think
So
right, it's not as if he can't do that,
yeah, he
right?
can.
Just as
God can turn
crazy as this
hearts.
election turned out, and because in my back of my brain for the
Not
longest time, I was like,
the back of your brain.
I did. I just felt like Kamala's gonna win. Um, I will admit that there was some level of disappointment, like major disappointment for a hot 30 seconds when I turned on the TV for about a minute during
Mm.
the tallying up of things. And
Mm-hmm.
I refused to watch the rest of it. And I said, Lord, I prayed and I just said, God, help me to accept what you allow
Mm-hmm.
and give me peace.
Mm-hmm.
And then give me the direction so I can know what I'm supposed to
How
be
to
doing
purchase? Yes.
in this season and time, because you're going to use me. I'm
Oh,
just
for sure.
convinced.
I'm convinced.
I'm convinced. It's
I'm
my time. It's
convinced.
our time. Like there's something in the atmosphere, and I just feel it. And so I guess I can't be discouraged about what's next. And like to the point of tears, like I was in tears last night, praying and just thanking God,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why. Um, but there's something in the atmosphere because I know you're going to use me. I know it. There's something that you're
Mm-hmm.
doing in this hour. If I got to be Esther in this hour, I'm willing. If I got to be whatever you need me to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
I am so down. Like it is what it is. And
Yeah.
I'm there with it right there. You know, it's not what it is. Like it's not.
JD
I
is the
mean,
real
that
demon.
is what it is. Because at the end of the day, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal.
No.
They're mighty through God for the pulling down of strongholds, the casting down of imagination, and everything that exalts itself against the knowledge of
Yep.
God. And so when I think about the scripture in its totality and how it applies to me as a believer, I can't be upset about it at the end of the day because I know who and whom and whose I am. And I know that there's something great about it. I feel it
Mm-hmm.
in my
I,
soul.
and I feel it too. But I still feel like I can be upset about it. I can. I can
And
be
you
upset
can be,
about
that's
it.
for you.
I can be upset about it and still fight and still be here for all of the things.
Yes, Dante, we do not rescue flesh and blood. You're right.
Um, I can still fight and be here for all of the things and still be upset about it because I mean, a part of me is just like, I don't understand how that level of stupidity was able to just get that far. And how
Well, he.
many people are really just y'all y'all are really like
I would rather know. I would rather have an exposed devil than an unexposed one
I mean, but that's
all
the
day long.
thing. He's
I
exposed, but all the people who are with him are not. Like Val, what did Val call him? His
JD is the
supporters.
real demon,
Yeah,
honey.
and he is.
It's the
JD is
devil
a
I know
weirdo,
that I
man.
would rather work with all day.
Yeah.
Show me the devil I know,
Right.
not the
But
one that's
that's
here.
the thing. We know him, right? It's the little tiny little impy demons that are his supporters that we
So
don't know.
come
We
on out
don't
the
know who they are.
woodwork. Let me see you.
They'll come out maybe. You know, those are the ones that are not right out in front of your face and not, we don't know who they are. We could have passed them in the grocery store. And tomorrow, what was that you that told me somebody was driving around with a sign at the
Yes.
Target?
Yeah. At the Target.
Like what?
And that could have, that could be easily be something else by
Right.
next week. But you know what I'm saying?
Right. And
You're
those are
right.
the ones I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know where you coming from. Like, you just might pop out of anywhere. So, and I get it. It's just, I know that I think black women in general felt a little gut punched, as usual, um, behind the whole situation. And the nation at large is feeling gut punched. Well, not at large, because obviously, and that's another thing. We need to get rid of the electoral college. But that's just my personal, non-professional political opinion. Because the popular vote is always more than, you know, the electoral college. He out here winning these tiny little sections of the world of the state, that a country that don't really.
Well,
But
we
anyway,
voted. We showed up the least. Black women polling across the board. Black
mm-hmm,
men showed up the most
mm-hmm.
in favor of Trump. Um, and right before we jumped on, I saw this video and this Latin lady was singing salsa music, and she was saying, "The Latinos, they vote for Trump." She was giving out. It was so funny, and it was
She
dancing
was.
with the whole
Oh
mariachi there,
no!
and it was just So I think that there was a lot. I'm just
I
going to.
saw. Let me see. I saw something. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And all of the things because I've been trying to stay off of social.
So yeah, it's just interesting. The demographic breakdown was very interesting. When you look at
I
it, it
saw
was very,
something
very.
that didn't support that. I saw something that said that black men, black women, Latino women, all as at large voted more Democrat than they did Republican. I gotta find this
I'm talking
thing.
about percentages of comparative
Yeah,
percentages to
yeah,
the
it was a
population.
comparison. I'm trying to find it. I don't know. I thought I sent it to you.
I mean, it's voters all
Yes,
across the board, right? So
yes.
comparative to the population, we had the least amount of women to vote. Across the women that did vote,
Mm-hmm.
may have voted for Kamala
Mm,
and been Democratic, but there we had the most amount of women not to vote at all,
that's what you're saying.
right? Yeah, and so comparative to the population, percentage wise, there are black men that did vote for Kamala and did vote Democrat, but we also compared to the percentage of population had the most men vote
Yes,
for
we
Trump.
did. Wait, no, what? Wait, had the most men to do what?
Vote for Trump.
That's not.
Comparative.
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking for that thing that I saw, and that the it said different. Oh man, I can't find
No,
it now.
no,
Shoot.
we may have had. So the majority of the voters that voted Democratic were probably Latinos, black men and women, right? I agree with that. But comparative to the population of black people in this country, men.
Where did you see that? Because what I saw said differently, but I can't find it, of course.
I can't. I don't remember where I saw that at, but I wasn't. To me, it was like I wasn't surprised. Because just
I'm
some.
not 100%. If that is correct, I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised by that
Yeah, I'm
either.
not surprised by that at all. I think, um, yeah, and I think people, and I will say this, and I want people to be really really clear when I say it. Um, I think people use religion as an excuse, but still need to come to grips with their issues that exist as it relates to um, misogyny and and um, and of course white people as it relates to their issues with race. That to me is the duplicitous part, right? Because you can hide behind the Bible and quote a lot of things and still be racist as hell, right? You
Oh,
can
for
still
sure.
be a woman
Because
hater
let's not
and
forget,
think that because I voted because of the Christian values that you are in some way exonerated from your racist beliefs. You are not. And you are not exonerated by that word from being a woman hater.
mm-mm,
Like,
mm-mm,
you're not. You need to go get help and some therapy
mm-hmm,
and get your life together because you're going to hell just like everybody else who doesn't fully believe in a salvation that has grace enough for your dysfunction.
right.
You still dysfunctional and you need to get your life together because there's something wrong with you. That's not the Bible. That's not also very contradictory as when it comes down to the word. You can't love your neighbor as yourself. Then
What
what
are
are you doing?
you
It's against the
doing?
whole Bible. So
Because that's the
it
number
doesn't.
one golden rule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the
And
whole
I
Bible.
think that's the thing too that really is getting my goat with the whole Christian movement thing. Like, come on, y'all wouldn't let us 10 feet inside your little mega church bubble.
For many years.
And it's still some of y'all still we can go and sit in the congregation, but that's about it. That's about it. And it's just, that's the stuff that I'm talking about because there's still very much
You
so some
still need to be delivered from racism. You still
right.
need to be delivered from that.
And
And
I'm talking about these some folks preaching on the
yeah,
pulpit.
yeah, 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 most definitely. That whole situation that went down with the Swagger brought man, and I'm gonna say his name because he was bold enough to say whatever he
Yes,
said. Uh,
swagger.
yeah, when he was
Hmm.
saying how, when he was saying, the black church, I'm totally, you are completely wrong for supporting Kamala Harris, and he had a lot to say about going to hell and blah 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 blah. Um, hey Jen, okay, love you too, baby.
Hey,
Had a
Jen.
whole lot to say.
Stay safe. Hugs and kisses,
You
cousin.
too, cuz. Had a whole lot to say about that, and I felt like you can have your opinion about you can stand on the principles of God, but the way you communicate that opinion show who you really were
Show us who you
underneath
really
that,
are.
right?
Yeah.
Because that was
And that's
racist.
the
If you
thing.
scripturally, you should have. If you had all against the brethren, the Bible says you restore them in the spirit of meekness. You don't get on a platform and start calling them names and condemning them to hell.
Well, see, that's
That's not what
that's
you do.
exactly the part that I'm talking about, where all these, Christian folks don't look like us are now staking claim and pitching tents and putting their flags in the sand, but then they're also feeling emboldened to also change their little preacher role for that little KKK situation.
Most definitely, and that is that's separate and apart, and that's what that's what needs to be exposed. I think that's what being exposed, that's what's being brought out. I think people are starting to understand, and I think what's even more subtle is this misogynistic idea that exists to include the black church as it relates to women. No, you may want to holler that it's about your whole belief in the Bible, but no, some of this was propagated by the fact that you can't, because you don't believe women are capable enough, and that God doesn't pour out His Spirit on all flesh.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even want her to be a pastor in your church or
Mm-hmm.
preach or teach or nothing. She's still only able to talk, teach Sunday school,
Mm-hmm.
stand on the floor in the church. So because your
Yeah.
mindset is so closed off, even there, you can't even conceptualize, right? That's a whole other issue. Ain't got nothing to do with that. So that's different, and you can hide behind
And a lot of them
uh,
are.
that, but you got a different kind of problem, and you need to work on that. Like it is not in alignment with Scripture. It's not in alignment with the Word of God.
It's not. But they're gonna put it right in that same line.
Talisha said, "No way a black woman's going to win." I hear you. That's how I thought too. Over a white man, not in America. Kamala never had a chance. This idea of a democracy is all a well-planned
Yeah.
smoke and mirrors.
And we don't
We're in a
we don't live in
capitalistic
a
country,
republic. We
honey.
don't have a democracy.
It's all about
We
the
have a republic.
coinage.
Yeah,
Coinage.
we got to be clear. This is not a democracy. If it was a democracy, we would still be in slavery. And people would win by the popular vote and not by an electoral college. But definitely a republic and not a democracy. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. And I mean, people were talking about, oh, she only had 180 days, and she did. They kind of threw her into the fray. And Trump has been campaigning for 2 years, but I still think it would have been hard. She was hard pressed. It would have been a hard win, regardless, because they're not ready. They was okay with Michelle Obama because she wasn't president. They was all right with being on Michelle's coattails because she wasn't the president.
And I
She's like,
actually think that
oh.
she would have had a probably better chance if she had arrived.
It's so funny because I read somewhere that the polls, whatever they call those
Gallup
beginning polls,
poll.
she was winning, and she wasn't even on the ballot.
Yeah, I think she would have.
I said,
She had a better
I said,
chance of winning.
how is she polling ahead of everybody, and she's not even on the ballot?
She would have had a better chance of winning
For sure,
than Kamala.
for sure. Well, listen, everybody, we thank you.
What's after 8 o'clock?
Yeah, and as we get into our mindful moments, um, for everybody who joined us here tonight to talk about, what we talked about. Thank you for your comments. We ask that you would like and share, and share with us your mindful moment. What did you get just from between last week and this week? What has been a mindful moment for you personally, Stephanie? Go ahead with your mindful moment. I don't think I said your full
My
name.
mindful moment this week has been very powerful over the last week in the fact that the Lord has been saying just that. Be in this moment. Be present. Choose to be present today. You cannot control what is going to happen tomorrow, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever has already happened, it's done and over with. Choose to be in this moment today. How can you maximize my presence in this moment with you, and how can you maximize your presence in this earth? And that is what has been like on me all week, really, really heavy. And
Mm-hmm.
so yes, just having that be my mantra for these last few days has been being where my feet are and letting God be in that space with me. And I want to be an example of that, a picture of that everywhere I go, to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a world right now where hatred is about to probably be on power 10. So I
Mm-hmm.
can choose, right? I can choose how I want to represent and show up. And right now the Lord is saying, show up representing me.
Mm-hmm.
Let my peace be with you, and let my joy remain.
Amen. Peace. Peace, Sister Valerie. And peace to all of you, these white evangelicals, racist in the name of Jesus. It's very true. They're racist in the name of Jesus. Handmaiden tale ideals. Very, very true, sis. Very much true. Handmaiden tale
And I agree
ideas.
with that completely and wholeheartedly,
Oh,
sis.
for sure, for sure. If they had it their way, honey, we all be in them little stupid little bonnets with the wings. Talk about some blessed day.
Blessed day.
May the Lord open. Open what?
Open
What is
nothing.
he opening?
Not for you.
Not for
Close
you.
it down. Shut it. But see, this is where I'm the only reason why the handmaid tale couldn't work for me. Because I'd be somewhere speaking in tongues talking about something.
Listen.
Hey, shut down in the name of. They'd been like,
Girl,
Lord,
listen.
lock her up.
So many things. So many reasons not. So many reasons not.
Lock her up.
Golly.
Put her in the
Listen.
insane asylum.
But listen, thank y'all for joining us. Come back next week. We promise we gonna be back. Are y'all gonna be back?
We're gonna be back.
We gonna be back at 7:00 on Thursday.
And we thank you
I
for
don't have
joining
no
us.
teacher conferences or nothing.
Oh, next
No,
Thursday?
I don't. I think it's Wednesday. Ours are Wednesday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have no
I
teachers
don't.
conferences.
I don't. I was really scared though because report cards. Every time my school hands out a report card, they make us do a parent teacher conference. I
Get out.
I shouldn't care us.
Val said I'd be hanging from the
You'd
walls.
be hanging right, Val. Val was watching the Handmaid's Tale,
That's what
right?
they did to Jesus.
You'd be hanging from the wall, and we'd be walking by talking about some blessed day.
Blessed day. She was crazy. He crazy. And caught up to meet him.
Listen, thank you guys for joining us here at Church
Blessed
of
days.
Chronicles. We will always talk for real. We love y'all so much. Thanks for your
We enjoy
comments.
y'all.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
being here every Thursday. Please like and share. Starting in December, we will be also going live on YouTube.
Tube you. Bam.
All right. Our videos are already posted over there. So at least go over there and subscribe and follow us over on YouTube.
On the
Royal,
tube of
can you
you.
put the YouTube name in? I don't remember what the name is.
And I'm praying that the Lord just something said or sparks and we go viral one good time.
One time. Once. May the Lord open.
May the Lord open.
May the Lord open. Listen, I love y'all like a fat kid loves cake.
Yes.
And I look forward to
I don't
seeing
love
y'all
you like
next week.
that. I love you like with the love of the Lord.
I love you with the love of the Lord, but fat kids love cake.
They do too. Like Jesus loved us.
Like Jesus loves us. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
We'll see y'all next week.
See you next week.